Patreon, going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore, currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there, so you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/realityt times 2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it. Even if you are on other tier, if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/realityt times 2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/realityt times 2. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing 90 Day OG episode 11. So let's just jump in with it. So, episode 11, starting with Marissa and Edward. Let's just do this shit and get it over with. So, now we're basically telling him how to dress. He kind of comes in with this either kind of looks more like an off-white shirt with white pants. He's loving it. It's very Dominican Republic for sure. But she doesn't like it. She wants him to wear the black pants instead. And I wrote, why? And then he's like, well, I want to wear these bracelets. She's telling him, no, he can't wear the bracelets. Why not? But they're going to be going to a cocktail party, and she just wants him to fit in because they're her friends. They got to fit in with her friends. Go fuck yourself. But when they get there, she tells him, listen, don't talk about baseball, you freak, and ask them about them, okay? Don't talk about baseball, one of the most important games in the Dominican Republic. Don't talk about it. What's the problem? But make them feel their life matters. What is it, a sale pitch? But anyways, they get in there, and one of them ends up calling him Edwin, not Edward, but that's okay. Well, what would you do here? What would you do here in the States? And he wants to do something in baseball, maybe some sort of coaching type of idea. But what do you guys do? Because we got to make your lives matter. One of them is a financial advisor. Another one's an insurance adjuster or something. That's fine. So then Marissa's when she's with her friend, she's like, let me go make sure that he isn't talking about baseball. God damn it, woman. Can't you just stop being so controlling about everything he does? Go have your conversations while the man is talking about batting cages. What's the problem? But then she starts dogging on him with her girl, saying, let's just face it, our relationship wasn't based on intellect. It was based on the physical. This is why you don't marry a guy that you banged on your girls' trip. This is why. Because then you're going to complain that he is an intellectual or he's not like, it wasn't about intellect. Well, now you're marrying him. So then where did the intellect part come in? All relationships start off that way. I didn't, listen, no one enters into a relation. Well, there's probably some people that do, but okay, from my perspective, I never entered into a relationship with somebody based on their intellect. I went into the relationship based on the fact that I thought they were hot. You know what I mean? And you grow upon it. I mean, that's how I usually do things. And it seems to work out for the most part. I mean, yeah. I feel like maybe with my ex, it was a little bit more intellect because the physical aspect didn't come in right away. But, you know, still, I went into that because he was cute. You know what I mean? Even if, like, you maybe built on that a little bit more, I don't think it ever really starts off with intellect. But if it does start off more physical, yours who build upon it to have that more intellectual or more um emotional side or, you know, critical thinking and that kind of thing. You build upon it. So where through this time did you build upon it? You know what I mean? Anyways, her biggest thing is, will he fit in with her life? So she does all of these nice things, but like, I want something, or he does, I should say. But, like, I want something more. I wanna be able to take him to a black tie event because sure thing, Jan. And I just worry about him adapting into social settings. So why are you marrying him? Why did you accept a proposal? You knew who you were marrying. That maybe he quote unquote wouldn't fit into your society or some whatever fucking shit. And you knew this. So what's the problem here? You know, Marissa, there is a great book that I just finished reading. I'll talk about it more over on the Next Day podcast when we do our annual book episode. But it's this little book called Impossible by Danielle Steele. It's kind of a similar situation. She is maybe a little more put together, a little bit more whatever, and then she falls in love with an artist type guy who, artsy. You don't know what you're gonna get. It's kinda like a box of chocolates, you know what I mean? So, you know, but they somehow figure it out one way or another, you know what I mean? So, like, you gotta meet him where he is and allow him to meet you where you want him to be eventually. He is not just gonna be like, diving into what you want him to be the minute he lands. It's just not gonna happen. She's unrealistic with what she's expecting. So yeah, she said he struggles with, fitting in sometimes with social settings. But not because he's stupid or anything. Didn't say he was, but you sure did. But anyways, but because he has just never been exposed to that before. Again, ma'am, you knew this. So do okay. She's like, I replay things in my head and I'm so harsh with him. Okay, wait. Is she seriously playing victim on constantly nagging on him every second of every day? Oh, that's a talent. That's a talent. Wow. And her friend's like, is it every day? And she says, yeah, yeah, it's every day. But that's not you, the friend says, whose name is Shaila. But anyways, that's not you. I see you being so degrading to yourself, Marissa. That's not you. How did we get here? How is she the victim? How is this? Ooh, narcissism was real with this one. And she's like, I'm just so angry all the time. I'm like, I don't know what to do, but stop being that way. Oh, what a novelty. So Shaila is crying for some odd reason. So, okay, we're all just a little bit, a little cuckoo. So you want your partner to bring the best out of you, she says, right? And right now, I'm not being the best part of me. Wow. Just Grammy? Not a Grammy. Academy Award winner is Marissa. Wow. Wow. She's good. Like I said, as a talent to literally flip it and make it about you. That is a damn talent. Wow. Anyways, let's move on past Marissa and Edward and let's go to another shitty person, Catie and Josh, who honestly, Catie isn't as shitty as Marissa, but don't worry, it'll get shittier. So it's Easter and we're heading to California to do some wedding planning. So I guess they're getting married in California and also having Easter dinner with her family. They got chickens. They got chickens, y'all. And he kind of asked her, like, who was your favorite chicken? And I don't know if she ever really truly answers the question, but she talks about another chicken that she doesn't like because it would pick out the feathers of her favorite chicken. But then she drops in with this one, which was something. Well, my dad would kill the chickens if they were bad and basically to start over. Wow. But she's worried about whether or not the eggs that he ate were happy when they died. But here's Daddy-O killing chickens just because they were bad. In the words of another cast member who we'll never ever see again, but she graced our television screens for a short time and made my day before she became a racist bitch. Let the chickens live. Let's move on. So yeah, he's coming out with the fact that he is not particularly religious. He says agnostic. She's Lutheran. Now, I don't know shit about shit. I don't know much about Lutherans. I'll be very honest. And obviously, I don't listen to podcasts who cover the show until I've covered it. And I know at least one of them will be talking about Lutherans. So for me, and maybe for you, if you don't know what a Lutheran is, essentially, let's just kind of do a general conversation here on what the hell is a Lutheran. So a Lutheran is an adherent of a major branch of Protestant Christianity that follows the theological teachings of the 16th century German reformer Martin Luther. Guess not Martin Luther King, huh? He had a dream and it wasn't about this. So the core beliefs. Faith alone. Salvation is a free gift from God received through faith in Jesus Christ rather than human good works. Scripture alone. The Bible is the ultimate authority and norm for Christian faith and life. And grace alone. God's forgiveness and favor cannot be earned. It is given purely by grace through Christ's sacrifice. So key practices, sacraments. Most Lutherans recognize two primary sacraments, baptism, which they view as a means of divine grace, and the Lord's Supper, which is Holy Communion. Law and gospel. So teaching holds that the Bible delivers two main messages. The law, which shows people their sin and shortcomings, and the gospel, which offers forgiveness and life through Jesus. And I'm going to leave it at that. So yeah, Lutheran. Sounds great. And it would be a deal breaker, though, for her if he didn't go to church. Again, kind of just going back to the conversation with Marissa and Edward, you know who you're marrying. You know Josh is agnostic. Clearly, conversations have come up. Also, he knows she's religious. So why are we doing this? Because I'm going to say something in a minute that is going to I'm going to be someone on her side here. So yeah, so that would be a deal breaker. And her mom said any kids that they would have would need to be raised in the church, but he doesn't really want that. He explains he just basically doesn't want his kids to be indoctrinated, which I totally understand. This makes me want to have these conversations, mind you, with my partner, but I'm kind of the side of things where, yes, I was raised in the Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church. I was baptized within the Roman Catholic Church. I do I don't really want my children to go through Catholic Church and going through, that process. That's not something I really want my kids to go through. Mind you, I do want my children to go to Catholic elementary school. Here, I don't know how it works in other, in America or elsewhere, but here you can't just take your children to a Catholic elementary school unless they A, have been baptized, or B, you've been baptized. Now, because but as a parent, been baptized, I've been baptized, so that's something that I would want for them because I do want religion in their life, but I also want them, in a sense, to make the choice, and um, that's just my views on it. Um, yes, I was, obviously, I was baptized within the church. I had first communion within the church. And then when it came to confirmation, that was something that was left up to me. I was able to decide whether or not I wanted to be confirmed, and I never was. Um, I chose not to, you know, and I get it where he's coming from. But at the same time, that's something that I can relate with him on because that's kind of how I would want to do things with my children. But if you know that the person you're essentially wanting to marry doesn't think the same way as you, that's a deal breaker. There are some things in life that you can't look past when it comes to relationships. Religion is one of them. It's a tougher thing to swallow. And yeah, I don't see how you can get past that or not come to some sort of, I don't know, common ground with this. More on that later. So, um, she says it would be a deal breaker for her if their children were not baptized within the church. In her defense, like I said, she says she told him this. She told him that this would be a deal breaker for her if their children, I guess, were not baptized within the Lutheran church. So what are we doing here? What are we doing here? She told you. She did her part. I mean, good on her, because I think like that's an important conversation, an important point to put in place. She's doing her thing here. She's doing her part here. So what is his issue? So, um, he says he doesn't want them to be indoctrinated, as I said. She says, if you change your mind, Lutherans do believe in divorce. Good to know. Because the alternative is that someone's going to have a date with Dateline? Yeah, probably. Anyways, the next morning, Josh is being a lot for her, and she's being a little bit dismissive about Josh wanting to be at the airport early because he's a nervous flyer. Now, here's the thing. They both need to work on how they are going to communicate through things like this because he wants to get where he wants to get early because of the fact that he's a nervous flyer. I I want a little more context because I'm trying to understand how getting there early, not even so much to be there on time, but early is going to help with his nervousness with the flying. Because I'm assuming his nervousness go through the act of actually being in the freaking air. And then for her, she's dealing with her obsessive behavior where I'm sure packing for her is an ordeal. And she kind of says as much. I bet she has to pack, check, and recheck and recheck and possibly even recheck some more to make sure she has everything because of her obsessive thoughts are telling her, check that bag again, check that bag again, check it again. And then not only that, she's clearly gonna have her purse, make sure she has everything. You got everything in that purse, check again. You need to check it again. You checked it already? No, you need to check it again. Like that's something that's gonna happen. And then you add the fact that this is also a person who has talked about the fact that she has to look under the bed to make sure everything is fine. She has to check her stove and make sure everything is turned off. She has to go through these rituals, these routines to make sure everything is how it needs to be before she leaves her home. There is a process here for her that he is also not respecting. So she's not respecting him and his needs, and he is not respecting her and her needs. Unfortunately for her, because again, do I believe she has OCD? Yes, I do. For her, as a person, again, who has seen what obsessive behaviors can look like in a person. Again, as mentioned, I have an aunt who has OCD, who, again, for her, like I said, looks very differently. And trust me, I only know part of this, but she would, obsess over, hair. She would obsess over brushing her teeth. She would brush her teeth for like an hour. She would wash her hands forever. I remember my aunt would have to carry like rags around with her because her hands were constantly sweating because she was always constantly washing her hands. Like it was a weird thing, but that's what I remember. So, you know, I obviously see obsessiveness in a different way through her, but at the end of the day, these are obsessiveness. These are things that she can't control. And no matter how many times he may tell her, can we go? Can we go? Can we do this? We gotta do that. She is incapable. Her brain is literally blocking you and your needs out of her brain because that to her, and it's not that she doesn't care, is that her brain is literally saying, fuck that guy. We can't worry about him right now. She can't help it. So do I think, unfortunately, there has to be more compassion and more, not so much compassion, forget that, patience with her? I do. Until the girl gets the help that she needs, what she desperately needs, he's going to have to be more patient. There may become a time where if she's getting the support she needs and is getting the help she needs to deal with her OCD, maybe then she can start to think about your needs and what you need. But she's not there because this girl is raw dogging it, okay? She ain't getting what she needs desperately. So she says, we're way early. We're gonna have an extra hour at the airport, which it, I guess appears that they do, but we never actually get that answered. She tells him while they're sitting at the airport, I'm annoyed with you. You were swearing at me this morning. And he explains, you don't leave space for me, which is true. She doesn't. She doesn't leave space for him. But as I said, she's incapable of leaving space for him. It's not that she doesn't want to. She's incapable of it. So, anyways, they're in the plane. Everything's fine. They're about to touch down in California. And then they arrive at her parents' house. Even her parents can only handle her in small amounts. Her dad's like, it was great having Catie home. She's the life of the party. And then after about 3 days, you wanted to stop. I paraphrased, but it's fine. But her mom is kind of talking to her while Josh is in the room, and she says, he's good for her. And he definitely seems to make her think of others and not just herself because, yeah, she would do that a lot. It's a character flaw of hers. Okay, so she's selfish. Great. Um, and she explains that, yeah, I tried kissing everybody at my birthday. I was drinking tequila. Does it for me. And her mom, like, I don't know, this was interesting for me. And I don't know if this is like an OCD thing or if something else going on because her mom says, "Well, that makes me sad." And Katie's instantly like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like it's like she's resorting back to being a kid. It was because that's the only time where I kind of saw that kind of response out of her, where I'm like, huh, that's weird. That's a weird thing. I don't know. But anyway, she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And her mom says, like, the drinking, you're going to hurt someone one day. And Catie responds back with this one. She says, oh, like murder? What? Where did that come from? Where did that come from? She skips steps because when her mom says you're going to hurt somebody, you might immediately think, oh, I'm going to emotionally hurt someone, or maybe, accidentally I might hurt someone physically. That maybe, they may, in that sense that, yeah, that can happen. She literally skipped over emotion, physically hurting someone, not hurting them. They'll be fine. Maybe we need to get like an ice pack or something. She skips over hospital and but whatever can come from that situation to morgue, to death, to her potentially being charged with either involuntary manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter, second degree, all the way up to first degree. Like, what is going on? When she's like murder? What the? When she said like murder, I started to hear Keith Morrison in my head, and I'm thinking, yep, there we go. Great. So her mom's like, no, like spiritually. Okay, Keith, you're off the hook. I don't think we'll need you. But maybe we might. Who knows? She says, everyone's telling me the same thing. And that is that I have to work on my drinking. So are we going to do it? And she's like, I have to make all of these big changes in a short time. And I don't know if I can do it. And, I think that is like pretty real, a pretty real response, because it's like, yes, everyone does have these expectations of you. And maybe you can't do it all. And that's okay. But you got to try to do something. How about we start with no tequila and we'll work our way up? You know what I mean? Anyways, that's Catie and Josh. Let's move on to Debby and Mido, y'all. So it's 35 days to wed. And we see them canoeing. And I'm thinking, y'all got only 35 days. I think you need to get out of that alligator infested water, because there's got to be something in there. And maybe get planning. But anyways, they seem to be okay with the pressure being off and just having some fun. The mood has shifted in the house, which feels good for her, but he still hasn't proposed, because we forget she is waiting for a proposal after all of this fuck shit. She's waiting for a proposal. A week later, after canoeing with the alligators, he's running some lines, and this is what he says. You ready, y'all? To be or not to be, that is the problem. And I wrote, you're correct, sir. That is the problem. Because that's not the fucking line. It is to be or not to be. That is the question. It's one of the most famous lines from any Shakespeare play. Is he good? You can't claim you are an actor and not know one of the most basic freaking lines from a Shakespeare play. Come on now. But apparently he had a meeting with an agent, and he told him that, told this agent who's gay, y'all. He's gonna get shit done. Okay? He knows what the fuck he's talking about. He's gonna get shit done. He knows the city, he knows the peoples, he knows everybody. He's gonna get shit done. So he needs to do what he needs to do to make sure that this man gets on being his agent and gets the shit done. Okay? But anyways, he told our agent here that he wants to be the next Denzel Washington. The fuck you say? You better take that shit back. You better take that back. Ain't nobody gonna be Denzel as a Denzel. What the hell are you talking about? Anyways, he wants to be the next Denzel Washington, y'all. He also wants to be the next Al Pacino. Say hello to my little friends. That's what he wants to be, y'all. He wants to be Robert De Niro. You can't be Robert De Niro. You're not allowed to be Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is the only person who can be Robert De Niro. And even then, sometimes it's, it's kind of, because Robert De Niro is not to be touched. Sir, you will never be Robert De Niro. Because you want to know why? Robert De Niro knows the Shakespeare line. You don't. Okay? But the agent is telling him maybe do some classes, to help with his English, and maybe also help with the fact that it's to be or not to be. That is the question. But anyways, I digress. And they're going to go from there. And I guess also do some acting classes potentially. But anyways, he tells Debby how it went with the agent, and she says, well, we got to hold on acting classes until we know if you're even staying. And he says he feels better about how they have gone, but she says the wedding will need to happen soon. She just wishes that he felt as enthusiastic about her as he does about acting. Well, guess what? If he is not that enthusiastic, if he hasn't even barely spoken about this wedding, but mainly has been talking about being the next Denzel, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, then maybe you shouldn't marry him. Just a thought. So, y'all, next scene, we are going to the chapel and we're... Anyway, so we're checking this place out. It's it's fine. It holds about 30 guests, but don't you worry, she's not gonna have anywhere near that. It's only gonna be her daughter and her son to be their witnesses. That's it. So when are you thinking of doing this? Oh, in like 3 weeks. Oh, okay. So we got work to do. Yeah, they've been fighting. They've been fighting a lot. Yeah. Anyways, we are going to be fast tracking things because we've got to. We've got to be married in 35 days. But Mido is feeling the pressure of all of this and he doesn't like it. Yeah, he doesn't like the pressure. He doesn't like being under pressure. He doesn't like that it's pushing down on him, pushing down on him. He doesn't like that. Okay. So, what do you think, Mido? What do you think of this kind of god-awful chapel? What do you think? Is it too much? Are you overwhelmed? And he says, now that you mention it, I think it might be too much. Yeah, think we gotta talk. About what? Delusion, delusion. I think it's time. I think it's time for me to return home. And she says, are you kidding? What is going on? And he says, I don't know. And she says, you need to talk now. Okay, none of this, I don't know, bullshit. You need to talk now. And he's like, well, I can't find myself here. So she walks off and she slams the door in the cameraman's face, like, what did he do to you? And we just see her hyperventilating on the ground in New Orleans in white pants. Ma'am, if you don't get the fuck off the ground. Anyways, that's them. So we are going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, we'll be jumping in with the rest of the couple. Hi, everyone. So I have something new for you. This is Noble Dutch. So, just a quick little thing about them. They make high quality, plant-based and convenient food that fuel your body and fits your routine. Whether you're juggling work, family, fitness, or personal goals, they make sure that you always have access to wholesome, gluten-free meals that, of course, you can trust. So, they have basically meals that you can get that are tasty, healthy, and ready in just 8 minutes. And again, it's vegetarian, it's gluten-free, and it's packed with 11 grams of protein. Yes, please. They have some meals, for example, like the instant jasmine rice and tomato sauce. And again, that's ready in 8 minutes. And it comes in 12 bowls, a carton, and it contains ingredients like jasmine rice, tomato sauce, chili oil, soya chunks, carrot and peas, and a spoon in case you need that as well. So basically, it's quick and easy. You would pour that jasmine rice and the carrots and those peas into a bowl, and then you would add boiling water up to the marked line inside of that bowl, close the lid and let it sit for 8 minutes. And then you would open, add the needed amount of tomato sauce and chili oil into that bowl, stir, and enjoy. Very simple, very easy. So you can earn Dunch points with every meal. You can basically get a point per dollar that you spend. You can get 60 free birthday Dunch points. And you can get 50 points per referral when you refer a friend as well. And that all kind of adds up. So if you're interested in that and you want to take part in this, you can head over to my link that helps support not only Noble Dunch, but also supports the podcast. And that is going to nobledunch.com/HEKVNLEC. And that link will also be in the show notes. And I'm back. So we start off with Rajit and Mallory. So we're at a party where Brandy will also be attending. So we're doing this shit again. It's at Mac, Kayla's, and I think, is it Ren or Ryan or Rain? What is it? Anyways, they're going to be eating some deer meat. Okay. He got some deer steaks. He got something from a stag or something or another. I don't eat deer. But anyways, Rain, whatever, has to kind of lay down the law with Brigitte and say, listen, Brandy ain't going nowhere. Okay? Brandy's my best friend. You're gonna have to get used to it. You're gonna have to stop being an asshole. Because at the end of the day, if he has to choose between Brigitte or Brandy, he's picking Brandy because Brandy's his friend. Brandy's been his friend for years and years and years and years and years. Sorry about it. So they're gonna go play some cornhole. Brigitte's doing pretty decently. And then in comes a girl named Catie, who I think we've seen before, can't remember, and she's riding with Brandy, or Brandy's riding with her. So Mallory brings up when they're inside, kind of, talking, and, she's kind of talking with the girls at the table about, the, as my phone did pre-cup, but it's supposed to be prenup. But anyways, and the guys are like, well, what are you girls whispering about over there? And she brings it up that hoping that they can have help with Brigitte to understand her point here. And Brandy's like, well, listen, did you ever consider that he gave up everything to move here for you? What the hell gone froze over? Hell went and just froze the fuck over. Damn it. What? The man is siding with Brigitte. He's like, he went all in on you. So, like, basically you should do the same. And they're like, so you're taking his side. When Brigitte has been nothing but a dick to this man from the jump for something that happened years ago that never involved Brigitte. This is incredible. Brandy's a good guy. He says, well, what if I moved half across the world? How would you feel if some woman would be doing the kind of the same thing that you're doing to Brigitte? And Mac Kayla is like, I will tell that bitch to sign a prenup too. Okay, great, good to know. And because I truly do not think they're doing this because he is Turkish or, he's from an Arabic country. I think consider it an Arabic country. Well, either way, a Muslim country. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. I think they're really, truly just looking out for Mallory, and that's it. And Brigitte explains, our culture, it doesn't have this. It doesn't have prenups. Totally get it. He's like, I don't want to start our marriage off with bad energy. Also, totally get it. Again, my brain thinks different, but I get it. And also the guys also get it. And Brandy says, I got to go calling him Brandon now, but he's still calling Brandy, so we're going to keep calling him Brandy. Brandy says, he went all in on you. So why not do the same? And Mallory's like, Brandy's not going to side with you just because he's your friend. He is going to keep it 100%. So that is definitely making her think a little bit. Mac Kayla is like, you guys are just acting like hopeless romantics. Like, ew. When the men are the ones acting like hopeless romantics. It's refreshing. And Brandy's like, what's wrong with that in today's society?
people just keep getting divorced and everything after like a few years, where the marriages that lasted 50, 60 years. And he's not wrong. As a person who intended on when I got married that it was going to last, it wasn't going to end, in 5 years, which is basically what happened. That was not my plan. So I totally understand him, not 5 years, 4 years, 4.5. Anyways, but it just, I get where he's coming from. We're like, this is not what you want. You want marriage to go the distance, right? And what is wrong with that? I like him. I mean, I liked him before, anyways. Get off my tailgate. I like him, but I really, really like him now. Like, it's like, I get, like, for me, it's like, here's this man who's been treating me like shit for nothing, who hasn't been respecting me for no damn reason, except for I fucked his fiance some time ago. But, like, that was a long time ago, and it was just that. And, he's been treating me like shit, but if I don't agree with what these people are doing, I'm still gonna be siding with him. I like him. He's a good guy. Anyways, but Matt Kayla says, I just want to put it out here that I am the one who suggested the prenup. It's not because you're from Turkey, because he does ask her that. He's like, if she was marrying a man here in America, I would say the same thing for her to do. And whether or not I believe her, I don't know. But just based on the fact that I do like Michaela, besides the fact that her name is spelled horrifically, I do like her. And there's the fact that she says, it's about the fact that she worked hard for her house, the fact that she almost died, and she has obviously the settlement from that. And she's just wanting her to protect herself. And I don't think that's a bad, I would probably say the same thing to anybody. I don't care who the hell you're marrying, you know? So, I do, I'm hoping for the best. And that's the main reason why she's doing it, and not because he is from outside of the States. But Bernie says he just wants her love. He don't want her money. He don't want that shit. He just wants her love and a bidet. That's it. He got the bidet, so now he just wants her love. It's fine. Um, so yeah, this is where she says, she worked her ass off for what she has. She almost died last year. And Reen, whatever, says he is putting everything into you, so why not do the same for him? I think that's fair enough. So Rajit and Brandy, he asks Brandy, can you come outside? So they go and talk, and he says, listen, I'm sorry. Wow. Now the pigs are flying, y'all. Jesus Lord. And he says, I'm sorry for everything. And Brandy says, listen, I get this is awkward for you, but the fact that you have apologized shows, you respect me as a man, and you're being a man, and that's great. And with his support, when it comes to the whole prenup situation, Rajit can now see that Brandy is also a good man. We've done it, y'all. Look, Ma, we've made it. Yay. Anyways, that's them. Let's move on to Asia and Maxwell. I don't know, there's a whole lot here, so anyways, there's a couple scenes, but so Aisha is going to talk to his mom, and she's like, I'm going to give her these gifts before I butter her up some more about the wedding, because you could tell like they didn't get a great reception when they mentioned the wedding. And she tells her, you have to be content with him. Amen to that. You have no right to change him. Amen to that. And this bitch says, but don't you change your house? You're able to renovate your temple. Oh, really? Didn't see that shit in the Bible. And this is what I mean about people like her. These religious dum-dums like her, where it's like, you will preach and preach and preach and preach and preach to everybody else, because she would say to other people, no, don't do that to yourself. Your body is your temple. She would do that. But as soon as it's something that affects you, affects her, and affects you, like, yeah, it just affects her. No, you can renovate your temple. It's this two-faced mentality that these religious assholes have. Can't stand it. Anyways, um, so yeah, she says, don't you change your house and all this? Not the same thing. Changing your house and making your man's have to do chemical peels in his eye and changing his eyeballs and stuff. That's not the same thing. And she's like, well, what about the skin treatments? You know, and like, what do you think about that? And she says to her, well, bumps, they will go away with time. Don't think that's how that works either, though. But anyways, she says more kids will clear it up. So the 4 kids will clear it up. 2 boys, 2 girls. It'll be fine. He'll be good. His dad apparently had the same situation. The more kids she had, they cleared up. Um, no, ma'am. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. And listen, I'm with you on the fact that there's certain things this man should not be put through because of her wacky do. But don't come out here and start lying to me. No, it didn't. And Aisha says, like, if anything's gonna get worse, stress is gonna make it worse. Yeah, I hate when I have to agree with her, but yeah, that's correct. And she says, listen, if the answer is, you know, is him having more kids will clear up his acne or whatever, he could say bumpy for the rest of his life. I'm amen to that too. So she's going to try to get her family up there for the wedding. So she's going to call Rod, oh boy, to tell him to get over here and bring her sisters. Oh God. So she tells him, I'm getting married out here before I leave. And of course, like clockwork, he ain't happy. And he's telling her, you've lost your mind. This is a scam. Are you pregnant? And she's like, now you know I ain't pregnant. And we actually don't know that. We don't know that. There's no way you haven't tasted the rainbow with this man. Come on now. Anyways, she's like, you want to come, you want to meet him, so come and meet him. And he's like, next year. Girl, boy, she gonna be 39 by then. She got time for this. We gotta do this now, now. What the hell? He's like, you know what? I guess I should come out there. So all this fighting for nothing, he coming anyways. So we'll see how that goes in the next episode. Moving on. That was quick, like I said, to Shea and Anabelle. It's the next morning after the beer funnel clock and all that, and he's feeling rough. I would say so. I'm sorry. When you're 54, now 55, you can't be drinking like this. You can't be drinking like this. You're going to die. He's going to die. I give it another 10 years, maybe. He's going to die. Like, he looks horrific. He's at his age. He's going to die. He's going to die. You gotta stop. Jesus Lord, she's gonna outlive him twofold. You gotta stop. Um, anyways, he has a headache. Again, no shit. And he has a nerve to say, can I have a massage? What? No. Listen, my boyfriend can overdo it sometimes with the drinking. And I'm sorry, but if you're waking up with a goddamn hangover and all of the symptoms that come with such a hangover, you on your own. I ain't helping you. You did it to yourself. Mm-mm. Nope. But she does it anyways. Good for she. We, oh God, this scene. We are going to church. She is Catholic, Roman Catholic to be exact. And this is going to be a different experience for her. Yeah, because if anyone who has attended a Roman Catholic service as a Catholic person, you can literally repeat every single word of that service. The whole thing. Okay? Peace be to God. Also to you. Yeah. Yeah, you know the deal. You know it. So even if you haven't been to church in a long time, you've got this, girl. You've got okay. Anyways, it is a very different experience. Because I don't know exactly where he does explain later on kind of the feel of this church. But as a person who's also been to a more Pentecostal Christian church, it is a different experience. But you also have to be open minded to that experience in order to be happy with the experience. Annabelle ain't it. Annabelle ain't it. But, anyways, they're going to this different church, and their church, he says feels like more of a non-denominational church with like a Baptist feel. Okay. Again, yeah, it's going to be very different than what you see at a Catholic church. Um, but Annabelle does want to find a Catholic church, and I think it's fair that try this place out. But he's attended church with her before in the Philippines, so he kind of knows what he's getting himself into. But here in America, maybe try to find her a Catholic church and see how that goes. Maybe that very well means you go separate ways if you don't want to do the Catholic church. Here's the other part though. He says this, but Allison wouldn't agree to go into a Catholic church, so the fuck what? Allison doesn't have to go every fucking where with you. Or here's the deal, you're gonna probably have to split your time. You're probably gonna have to do the Catholic church thing with Annabelle. And I don't know if they do just Sundays at their place. Catholic Church does not do just Sundays, but I mean, obviously the main thing is Sunday. You may have to go back and forth. You might have to. If you're so insistent on Allison being comfy wumpy about where she's going, you might have to split. Because, I'm sorry, at the end of the day, Allison doesn't get a say in where you as a couple go to attend church every day. That is something that goes on between the two of you. Allison's gonna need to find herself a man and have to go find someone who's gonna want to go to church with her. That's the answer to all of things here. She needs a man. But she does go in and she's like, what the fuck is going on here? She sees the drums because again, when you are going to a more Christian like church, whether that's Pentecostal or wherever the hell this one is, um, you're going to see music instruments. You're going to see that kind of thing there because that is what they do in those types of churches. In a Catholic church, there's none of that. You're singing from the hymn book. You are the music. You know what I mean? They don't have this. They just don't. Um, so that is definitely going to be a shock. And there's also different colored lights. It gave me kind of like Hillsong a little bit. That's not an experience I experienced in my church when we went, but it yeah, it's kind of like Hillsongy a little bit. Um and folding chairs. She's like, what the fuck are these? Because again, in the Catholic Church, there's pews, not folding chairs. But here's the problem I have with Annabelle. She's very rude. She's not open minded. You don't have to be, but you don't have to be rude. She's yawning, sleeping, I guess, rolling her eyes at Shea, at other people, and it's pissing Allison off. And you know what? It would probably piss me off as well, because that goes to show you don't give a fuck. You just want what you want, and you don't care what anyone else has to say. At one point, she actually says, "Praying again." M- If you, I'm sorry. What? Ma'am, what do you mean praying again? I have attended a Catholic church. I know how this shit works. It is constant praying. Okay? It's constant stand up, sit down, go on your knees, do it again, do it again, do it again. What? Don't for but praying again. The fuck? So church is done now. And Allison asks, did you like it? Not really. Our religions are different. Here's the thing. Catholicism is a branch underneath Christianity. We all believe in the same thing. We all pray to the same God. It's all the same. It's just a different denomination, a different sect off of Christianity. The religions are not different. How you pray might be different. How your services go might be different, but it's all the same. It's not different. But you could be more open-minded, Alice says, and you know what? I agree with her. And she's like, you were falling asleep and stuff. And Shea didn't know this, but Shea wasn't sitting beside her. I think Shea should have been sitting beside her. Because I think he would have nipped that shit in the bud. And obviously he wasn't beside her, he was beside Allison. Um, so he's like, really? Like, why would you do that? Because again, from his point of view, I attended your church, your mass, and I'm going to assume he didn't act like that. He was probably respectful. So that obviously leaves a bad taste in his mouth. But Shay's like, do you want to try Catholic church with us? Saying it to Allison. And here's now the issue with Allison. Why can't you now be a little bit more open minded? It's not that you have to change religions. It's not that you have to even do it. Just try it with them and, you know, to appease her. And she says, no, I don't want to change religions. Okay, you don't have to, but just try it. You're going to hate it, but just try it. Sorry, you are going to hate it. Once you go out of Catholicism and you try churches like this, you don't go back. You don't go back. I have not attended um a Catholic mass service, anything since I left high school. I and honestly, high school, even then, I don't think I did it since I was in grade 10. And I think the only reason I did was because um of the fact that I had like a dance thing because I was doing dance class at the time and we were doing like a dance thing or something. That was really the last time. Because before that, I was in choir. So I was obviously in there. So I did attend the masses in grade 9. And then the one time in grade 10, and that's it. I would always get out of doing it because my mom wouldn't force me to do it because I chose to leave the Catholic church. So I didn't get forced to do it. So I haven't even attended since I was about 15, 16. Once you leave, you don't go back. So she's gonna hate it. But just try it. You know, Anabelle did it for him, for you. You could do it for her as well. But maybe her thing is you were very open minded at mine, so why should I go to yours? Which I also get. Um, and Annabelle is like, well, we will do our own thing, so just leave us alone. Excuse the fuck out of me. Oh, bitchy Annabelle's coming back. Oh God. And Shay's like, you don't have to be rude. You don't have to be rude. And no, she doesn't. But here's the problem. She is. And the thing is, like, people like Annabelle, and generally I do too. That she, I warmed up a bit to her as time went on. But this side of her, which is the first side I saw of her, didn't like her. And that's coming back now. I don't like, I don't like her. There's nothing really to like. I find her miserable. I find her, she calls Allison a brat, which Allison is a brat, but she is also a brat. And it's like she doesn't get what she wants. It doesn't get her way. She gets a brat. She gets bratty. I don't like that about her. I don't like that. But he says, you know, you're both being rude. Um, and this is where I said, like, I feel like it's because Allison is telling her things she doesn't like. That's why she's being a brat in Annabelle's eyes. And she's just rolling her eyes at Shea as Shea is talking to her about, like, you know, what she could be doing a little bit differently, basically. And to me, to Allison as well, and to Shea, it's childish behavior. You can't tell another person who is, what, 20 years younger than you that you are being a brat when you're sitting there rolling your eyes at the man whom you're supposed to be getting married to. What the hell? I don't think I have ever rolled an eye at my boyfriend because in anger. I don't think I've ever done that. Or in even irritation. I don't think I've ever done that. That's like a plaything, sure. You know, probably rolled an eye or whatever. But no, never. Like that's rude. It's rude to do stuff like that. Um, and Allison feels like she's done. She doesn't want to deal with this anymore. And she peels the hell out of there. With a MILF sticker on her car. Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's what it is. Do you, boo? Anyway, And she says she's sick of this shit. And I don't blame her. I don't, oh, listen, no one is right in this situation. No one is. Everyone is a freaking idiot. Annabelle's an idiot. Allison's an idiot. She's maybe the only one here that's like, what the fuck is going on? Because he's trying. He's actually trying to deal with the situation. Um, but these two are dumb. And now she's like, maybe she's not a good fit for my dad, and she should maybe go back home. At least she didn't say, go back to your country. Whew, okay. But it's just, uh, I don't know, man. Like I said, I think Annabelle should have been a little bit more respectful of their church, and how things are done. And I think Allison should be a little more open minded about going to a Catholic church. But under the circumstances, maybe she's like, no, fuck that shit. I ain't going to do that because you weren't very open minded about mine. So it is what it is. Anyways, that is Shea and Annabelle. And that is the episode. So yeah, we'll be back with another one. I don't know what I'm coming back with yet. Don't know what's next. I don't remember. Anyways, you'll see what's next tomorrow. But Um, until then, that's it for me, and that is it for this episode.
If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at Reality T times 2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Reality times 2 pod. I believe you can email me at realityt times 2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/reality t times 2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you could tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality t times 2, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, where we do things a little differently, you can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things. But you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.